For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Oh, Jelly, I will miss him. I will miss him. I will miss him, Jelly, and I will die with him in my heart because I love that boy so much. I love that boy. That boy is my prince. Oh, I miss him. Oh, Jelly, I will miss him. I will miss him. I will miss him, Jelly, and I will die with him in my heart because I love that boy so much. I love that boy. That boy is my prince.
Yet another mother crying out as her son is gunned down. In the interim, what we continue to do is to focus on all the wrong issues. Hello. Welcome to another edition of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. My name is Timothy Poleon with you until 2 o'clock this afternoon. In a moment, your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, and Kimani will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. Apologies, of course, we could not have a live broadcast yesterday, but we did air you a previously produced NewsSpin program on Power 97.9 FM. So we hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. It's reality time. That's if you're not aware that we are plagued with so many problems. While our politicians are making excuses and making reference to a crime pandemic, giving the impression that this is what is happening in every part of the world. You know what's happening? We have a crime pandemic, but it is occurring in St. Lucia. You wake up, you hear that there's been a shooting incident in Marcia. You hear of yet another fatal shooting incident in Grosile. Then you have to head on to the south a few days later, and then to Cicero, and then to Soufrière, and then to Dennery. And not even the prayer warriors can bring this under any level of control. I'm talking about control. Those people want to make excuses for our politicians, for those whose responsibility it is to tackle the crime problem, continue to make reference to no one can stop crime. No one can stop crime. Now that's subterfuge. That's playing with words, playing with people's emotions, preying on the ignorance of people, engaging in sophistry. No one who is realistic will ever say to you, to any government, we want you to stop the crime problem in our country. We want to stop crime, period. No. Crime has been with us for an eternity. Cain and Abel era. One brother killing another brother. But we are being realistic. Those of us who care about this country, those of us who do not have a horse in the race, those of us who do not depend on governments and political parties to work in an embassy, maybe in Martinique, or in Miami, or in New York, or in Washington, who don't want to be in Parliament, serving in any capacity at all, those of us who are dispassionate will tell you that we just want the government to manage the crime problem. We want them to lead the fight against crime in this country. Otherwise, you're just a fake expert. And we have a lot of fake experts among us. Those who claim to have all the answers to our problems. And when they get into office, they turn to the same people who elected them into office and say, I'm looking to you to provide the solutions to the crime problem in our country. Isn't this laughable? I am turning to you for answers to our problems. So imagine, we are invaded, let's exaggerate a bit, we are invaded by Russia. And our own Zelensky is saying, I'm turning to you to come up with the ideas. I'm turning to you, the people of Ukraine, to come up with strategies. Not I will lead. Not that I will come up with various schemes, whatever it is, so that I could put Russia on the back foot. I'm turning to you because what we're fighting right now in this country is a war. It ought to be a war against crime, a war against inflation, a war against high prices. But we have the people in this country, all they have are the fancy titles. And in some instances, they bestow those titles on them. 5-star generals, 3-star generals, a 2-star general. But it comes with certain responsibility. It comes with hard work. It comes with determination. It comes with you inspiring the people, because you cannot do it on your own. Look at it from the micro level in the workplace. A managing director cannot cause a company to succeed on his or her own. But he's got to lead. She has got to lead. She has the bigger picture. He has the bigger picture, the bigger plan. And look to your employees to help you execute that plan. In the case of St. Lucia, as we speak today, Friday, the evidence does show that the tail is the one who is leading, because you're looking to the people and not the other way around. And so, it's heart-wrenching. Listen to the news, you watch the news, and night after night, mothers are crying, they're in pain, they're in shock, and aunties and other relatives are saying, let's leave this to God, God will deal with that problem. And right here on earth, we have put in place the various systems, we have the various models to deal with those problems. But what are we doing? We are not doing anything about it. And it's so acceptable to make excuses. It's not like crime occurred. Crime has been going on for so long. Crime has been, and you know, you have, I think maybe you have what amounts to a ministry of propaganda in this country. Remember, Hitler had his minister with responsibility for propaganda. We have that in St. Lucia. Team of people coming together, making excuses for the government, and also what they try to do is to distract you by engaging in the name calling. And so this homicide occurred early Thursday morning over in Basse Joseph. 28-year-old male identified as Patrick Joseph, gunned down while he was walking. Yet another life lost. And in our various media reports, reference is normally made to those individuals of victims not being angels and not being choir boys and a little troublesome. For me, that's not the issue. Troublesome or not, this individual was gunned down. His life was snuffed out of him. It wasn't the result of cancer, diabetes, or COPD. He was deliberately shot and killed. So that is not the issue. While he was alive, whoever that individual is, if he or she was a menace to the society, if you have a system where law and order is maintained, he would have been and should have been dealt with in the appropriate manner. And that's why, and we'll come to that a little later, that's why the United States has been on our heels asking questions, seeking answers with regard to alleged extrajudicial killings. In other words, you do not take matters into your own hands. And the same should apply for criminal elements. Yes, they will do as they please. But if only we allow it to happen, and if we allow it to continue. 60-odd people have been murdered during the course of this year. And what has been the response? Anyone who murder is one too many. I'm very concerned, very, very concerned. I'm very concerned. And that's it. What has been the response? Isn't there an appropriate response to a trend? Those are not one-off incidents, you know. It's a case that somebody has been gunned down in January, then you have another homicide in March, and another one sometime in August. It's basically, this has been happening one after the other, and not intermittently, over several years now. And somehow, no one can come to the fore to say, this is exactly what we are going to do, but we just continue to hear excuse after excuse. Let us hear from the PRO of the Opposition United Workers' Party, Leonard Spider Matute, speaking yesterday during a mid-morning press conference on the whole crime situation.
The Minister of National Security himself, the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, has come out and finally admitted that he is clueless. He has literally thrown his hands in the air in hopeless surrender and is now calling for help, and he has indicated that he's at the mercy of the citizens of St. Lucia, which of course includes the criminals. I want to remind St. Lucia and the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, that way back in December 2022, the United Workers' Party, as a responsible opposition, not looking at the crime situation in isolation or deeming the crime situation to be a political issue, agreed to collaborate with the government, not just in words, but in deed. And I recall that the United Workers' Party submitted some recommendations to the Minister of National Security for consideration in the crime-fighting effort. Rather than promote that collaborative spirit and recognize that we all must come together, especially when it comes to national issues such as crime fighting, the Prime Minister instead chose to be political and partisan, and he came out and made a public statement acknowledging that we had made a submission to him of some recommendations, but that he had put it in the bin. We will not ask the Minister of National Security to go back to the bin, but recognizing the seriousness of the crisis that we face as a country, we have decided to resubmit our recommendations. Since the Prime Minister has finally accepted that he does not have the answers and he does not have a plan, we have made our submission, we have resubmitted our recommendations, and we are standing ready should he want to engage us at any level in any engagement in the crime fighting effort. I implore the Prime Minister on this occasion, please resist the temptation to be political, resist the temptation to be partisan. Do not degenerate into the normal name calling that he has become famous for. Do not get into the personal abuses that he has become known for, but instead embrace the offer that we have made and show as a leader that he is prepared to promote national unity and collaborative efforts, especially when it comes to issues of national concern. And so, I would like to inform the nation that we stand ready in the crime-fighting effort, because we all are affected by the effects, the negative effects of crime, and we all will pay the price if we do not stem the tide of the high crime situation, especially the number of homicides that are taking place.
Public Relations Officer of the Opposition United Workers' Party, Mr. Leonard Spider-Matoud, speaking yesterday during a mid-morning press conference. Good afternoon to you, Kimani, and hope everything is okay with you.
Everything is okay with me, Tim. Good afternoon to you. We have some comments in the chat room. Tim, gunned down or not, no one cares, and it's now a norm in the country. I think it's sad to hear someone say that it's a crime right now is a norm in the country.
It is the norm, but it should not gain acceptance among the people. And just too many excuses are being made because you have leaders. I think this does not happen anywhere, especially in certain settings. In the school, if you have a problem with students are not learning, you need to get to the bottom of the problem. Is the quality of teaching? Is the leadership in the school? What's happening with the students? Do you think they have hearing problems? They have problems at home. What is the problem? You need to diagnose it and get to the bottom of the issue. And we are not diagnosing this crime problem. We're just making excuses because those who are in authority said so much while they were under hustings. I think it is basically out of shame that they're saying those things and talking about a crime pandemic meaning it's happening in every part of the world. I think the crime pandemic that we have is in St. Lucia. Because very often you'd hear about hotspots. Where are the hotspots in St. Lucia now? Where are the hotspots?
Everywhere.
We don't have hotspots anymore. We just have, crime is just rife in our country. Now, I cannot believe that if you are the nation's national security minister, or the police commissioner, or the prime minister, or the cabinet of ministers, you're saying, that has nothing to do with me, or it's your business, or all of us are in this thing together. Yes, but somebody has got to lead this serious fight, this serious battle that we have right now. And no one should take to the airwaves and make excuses, particularly if your voice was so loud just about a little over 2 years ago in criticizing the previous administration for so many things, and rightly so. We have to hold our governments accountable. And let us cease that practice of making excuses for our prime minister and other government officials as far as crime is concerned. In the meantime, we have a government building on the waterfront, or government buildings on the waterfront. We see vehicles being parked there, and people are walking into their offices on a daily basis, and they're attending conferences here and there, and they're planning all kind of so-called strategies and coming up with, fancy things like mechanisms and all that. And we are still in a mess. So the question has to be asked, who is really leading? And the country, in the meantime, in terms of the treasury, we are expending resources, we are spending money. And what's the return?
I think you should lead the charge, Tim, if no one is taking the lead.
Well, let's put it this way. There's a vacuum, not necessarily yours truly, but other people certainly who care about this country and who believe that they have a contribution to make at that level should enter. But we all have our roles, different capacities. Not everyone can be a government minister and try to be an MP and a government senator and so on. We're not all cut out to be in such leadership positions.
Someone says, agree, Tim. Considering our crime problem is mainly among the youth, we need to search the root cause for St. Lucians. Another comment in the chat room.
By the way, my apologies. Let's open the lines. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages. 716-2026. Continue.
Crime should not be politicized. Both opposition and ruling need to come together to curb crime. Stop this small-minded thinking. Another comment, hence the reason he is now asking anyone and everyone to come up with solutions to combat crime. It's not any party's fault that crime is so rampant in St. Lucia.
I beg to disagree. How can you tell me it's not any party's fault? Not any government's fault? They were caught sleeping at the wheel. That is what transpired. And if you see what has been happening over several decades, problems in the police force, we've not been able to address this. This problem in the police force dates back to several decades. This problem of crime, of food security, and diversifying the economy. How long have we been hearing about this? Forever. Problems in the education system. Students not being properly equipped for the job market. How long have we been hearing about this? Forever. We have our first call. This is NewsSpin. Good afternoon. You are... Okay, we lost a call. But let's continue with the comments in the chat room.
Someone says, we're tired of hearing you talk. We want to see you in the arena, Tim.
We have a call. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Tim, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Did I hear the Prime Minister asking everybody for help to fight crime?
But you heard that, sir.
So why he doesn't want to deal with the opposition? Because the opposition to me is supposed to be the main person the Prime Minister should have meetings with. And then after that, he can ask outside person for help. Am I right?
It starts with government and opposition.
But, Tim, if the situation is worsened, it is reached to a point where we have no answer for that. Every day is just a killing, and it is just go like that. The people of St. Lucia will have to do something, whether you like it or not. Now, you might probably ask me, what kind of things do they do? We know there is an opposition, but if it's law-abiding citizens, persons that have business in that country, if the situation reach at a point where the Prime Minister already say he has no solution.
Now, in the chat room there, sir, Somebody says St. Lucian's too hypocrite. It's not the government's fault. It's all our fault. No parenting skills. In Singapore, while that is true, in Singapore, I think you had just 6 homicides in 2021.
Yeah.
6 homicides in 2021.
A population.
And about 4 house breakings in 2021. A population of over 5 million.
Exactly.
Now you realize every time, for example, you have an event, carnival, and there are no major incidents, government ministers would come forward and praise the police. All right? But if there are any incidents, government ministers and people like that individual in the chat room, who they blame? They blame the criminals. Criminals will be criminals. You need to keep them in check. Children will be children. You need to keep them in check. Workers will be workers. You need them to keep them in check. Okay, managers will be managers, and managing directors will be managing directors. You need to keep them in check. Now you have a board of directors for those people.
So that is why I am saying, and I'm serious, if the situation reach at a point, already the Prime Minister says he has no solution, there's nothing he can do. He said it's a pandemic, which means it is worldwide, so he give up. If it is reached to that level, Tim, we have to do something, whether by the means or by the ropes. We have to do something to take control, to take back this country. Because we cannot allow that situation to be festered among law-abiding citizens, for children going to school and person just open fire anywhere and they don't care who they hit and who they don't hit. I mean, this is a serious thing. We're talking about national security of a country. And I am tired and frustrated of hearing the Prime Minister say his father was a policeman. What does that have to do with me, Mr. Timothy? I'm not interested of Mr. Philip J.P., father Prime Minister, was a police officer. It makes no sense to me. We have a situation on hand that is really serious. And that is why today, there is only one coup in Africa, I like you know, and I love that coup. And I'm referring to Gabon. The family which has thrived on the poor people of Gabon with all the wealth. With 54 years leadership in Gabon as though it's a royal family thing. And finally, the people have decided to do something. And in fact, the military, but you could see the people behind the military and support it. But the other thing that is puzzled me about that coup is that the man who took over is the cousin of the president. You know? But then back to St. Lucia, this situation totally is affecting business persons. You have shop, you have business, you have supermarket, you have things, you have investment in that country. Where are those chambers of commerce people that are hiding and not saying nothing? Where is Flavia Sherry, which concern about about women? I mean, we are just once the Labour Party get into office, all of those people just get and feed themselves in the womb of the Labour Party and just kept shut, say nothing, and it only allowed to you, me and you, Mr. Poleon, and other citizens of this country to reflect what is happening and to say, we cannot accept it. That just can't be accepted in a normal society. And I'm really serious about that. The people of St. Lucia will have to come together by themselves, every constituency, and decide what to do on term, and forget about the man who called National Security Prime Minister, which have no answer for nothing, and do something to get St. Lucia back on its feet. Or if not, brother, we are going to be killed in that country. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for calling, sir. Still to come, what's this issue over a government minister traveling to the United States? We'll put this into context. As you continue to watch NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page, we are also on YouTube, and you're listening on Power 97.9 FM.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
There is only one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus takes charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
So fast pay, a new and easy way to pay. So fast pay, so fast pay.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
So fast pay, 2 minutes and you're on your way. So fast pay, so fast pay.
Flow is keeping you connected.
It's an exciting back-to-school alert at KFC. Spend $15 or more and get a chance to win a Dell laptop, a stylish backpack loaded with supplies, KFC vouchers, and a cool KFC water bottle. Here's how to enter. Simply write your name and number on your receipt in the designated area and drop it in the back-to-school promotion box at your nearest KFC store. Promotion ends on August 31st, 2023. Winners from each store will be revealed on September 1st. Let's make this school year the best one yet with KFC's back-to-school promotion.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From My Account to Streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
Over to you, Kimani, and the comments in the chat room.
Tim, I'm not sure if I could read this comment. Can you probably preview it and tell me if I could read it on air? Or maybe you should read it.
I don't think you should read this one.
Another comment in the chat room. Someone says...
Well, I think I'll read that one, so go ahead. But I'll read it.
All right. Tim, do you have any idea of whereabouts of the concerned citizens from Vieux-Fort? Those in Castries, those in Gros-Islet, are they only concerned when UWP is in office? Someone says, call if the opposition doesn't have solutions. Maybe we should try the Wagner Group in Russia, LOL. Another comment, this government has blamed unfortunate for every murder in this country. First thing they say at their press conference, it's unfortunate. Another comment, the opposition is merely using the same tactics that failed under their watch. Hence the reason why PJP threw that in the trash can.
So let me read this. Now, you remember at one time, Mr. Guy Joseph, he was described as Alan Chastney's poodle. And we described it as a figure of speech. So I'm going to read something. It's not literal. Don't take it literal. So somebody writes, this means if PJP was your dog and he saw a thief in your home, he would not even bark. I don't think that is anything that's being disrespectful. But, you know, because, I mean, it's a case of you being National Security Minister, you being the Prime Minister of the country, and you are saying, I am turning to you, probably in this case, turning to you, the owner, wake you up and tell you, come and deal with that particular problem outside there. I think that owner will be so incensed that that canine will be thrown out of the yard. Anyway, any more comments?
Yes, we have a few more. Why can't the government ask for help? What's so wrong? We do have the solution. It's all in our hands. Speak to our children. Stop making children believe they are in charge. Another comment, no one is made an example, especially when they commit a crime. Is borderline these criminals going, eating your tax-paying money, and after you're deemed a good boy, you're right back into society. So it's like you do the crime, serve time, and that's it. The laws need to be stricter.
But you see, what people are missing out is it's all about leadership and talking about speak to your children and so on. You, Kimani, there comes a time when, I mean, I know you still live with your mom, etc., you're a young adult, but there comes a time when you have to take, well, right now you have to take personal responsibility for your actions. Because there's some things that you will do that you're not answerable to your mom and your father, but you're answerable to the state.
Right.
Yeah? So if you caught with an illegal firearm, should we call your mom and say your mom should deal with that particular issue? And your mom will say, hello, I did that's not how I raised you. That's not an issue for your mom. People having illegal firearms in their possession, snuffing out, taking the lives of other people, innocent people, people they have issues with and so on, that is not for parents. That is for the state to deal with. So you need to fashion the education system now to deal with children who are coming from troubled homes, etc. We have behavioral problems. You see them in the education system, in the schools, but yet still you ignore that. You deal with that at that particular point. You have truancy officers. I think you're supposed to have two in the island. We have one. Counselors in schools. How many counselors do you have in various districts, education districts? Not many. So, and you also need to step in when you can, when the law, if the law permits it, to guide people on how to be good parents. Because we see it all the time in the communities. The parliamentary representatives, they see it. But what they're concerned about is those same mothers who are negligent, who are immature, who kind of deal with the challenges and the problems that come with being a parent. They're all interested in just the vote.
Sadly. But I think, Tim, even if at some point in someone's life they're subject to the state, but growing up, if your parent didn't, I guess, raise you properly, or didn't, when you were led astray, they didn't put you on a straight and narrow path, I think they are to blame sometimes.
They are to blame, but I'm saying we need to have the necessary interventions. At what point do you intervene as a state, as a people, as a country? Do you allow that child to reach a point where he or she descend to a particular point where they want to arm themselves with a legal firearm, want to take matters into their own hands, want to kill people before you intervene? You have the minimum standard test. It is to diagnose the children, to assess them as early as possible so you can implement corrective measures.
Right.
So whether they're failing in English and maths or whatever area, to deal with it, that's what it is.
That's
now,
true.
even in that particular area, we failed this year because the results. You know, people were calling me, they wanted to find out the results of the minimum standard test for so long. And the ministry was not providing any kind of explanation as for the reasons behind the delay. So maybe just recently they might have released the results. I'm not too sure. Okay, so that's what leadership is about. That's what about there's a fancy title of being prime minister, and you're happy to be prime minister. It's sword turning ceremonies. It's a lot bigger than that. Being a leader, you're responsible for the 180,000 people in your country, and you have to be forward thinking. And we continue to make reference to Singapore. It is not by accident this is a successful country.
Another comment in the chat room. Someone says, I've never heard any political party encourage crime. Children's behavior begin from the home with proper home training and upbringing from childhood. It is likely that the children will be more conscious of their actions or behavior in society. Unfortunately, children's upbringing is very different from what it used to be many years ago. Someone says the public needs to address the issue by standing together to condemn this company. A government can't dictate the manner which private companies operate. Companies are expected to make profits, and even in cases where they are abusive, the role of the government is to ensure that taxes on these profits are paid. The chamber will never step in.
We have a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Okay. Tim, I'm calling on this crime situation in St. Lucia. I'm saying that I'm going to blame either governments, right? I remember the time when I was a police officer. So I remember the time when we would come to work and the commander would say, hey, listen, we're going out today. We're going to shakedowns. We're going to do shakedowns. Or we're going to do roadblocks. And we would spend a whole day out shaking down the hotspots, so-called hotspots, having roadblocks and all those things. And it, to me at that time, it helped because nobody knew when the police would be out or where they would be. And people were the so-called criminals were more cautious as to what they do and when they go about doing their things, right? Nighttime, daytime, mid-morning, no matter what time it was, we would be out there. I remember when we used to patrol Castries, walk the streets, right? Everybody was on edge because those criminals were on edge because they never knew where we were at any time, right? Between the years of 2010 to 2013, when we had that surge in crime, right? We were on the road 24/7 at any time of the night or day. We would be on the road. Right now, you will not see a police officer walking that street at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, or even during the day. And I think that has a lot to do with what is happening at home now, right? And I think that the hierarchies of the force should look into bringing back those patrols, where we had what we call foot patrols. You don't see police doing foot patrols anymore. We would go in the stores, sit with the owners, talk with them, ask them if they have any problems. And that is how you get a lot of information. You get a lot of things said to you, and you can work with it. You cannot bring it to court, but you can work with it to curb the crime. That's my contribution. I think they should look into it.
Thank you so much. This caller is calling from the diaspora. We have another call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Hello. Good afternoon. All right. Let's see if we have some of your WhatsApp messages to go through while we are awaiting your calls. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to Tim.
Yes, sir.
2 years ago, that same opposition was there. So why didn't
Caller,
solution?
I don't want to hear about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had a government. The people are not satisfied. You had homicide after homicide. Now we have a new government.
Yes.
Let us focus. No, sir. Let us focus on here. Let us focus on here. Let us focus on here and now. The advice they wanted to give, they never used it. What about now, caller?
So they never use it, but they...
Caller, what about now? You see how ridiculous you can get? But you're laughing. No, caller, you are being ridiculous. People are dying. People are dying. People are dying. People are dying. People are dying, caller. People are dying right now. And you are concerned about the opposition, or concerned about the prime minister of this country, the national security of the country, the police officers, etc. But you're concerned about the opposition.
Yeah, because I mean, if they have solution for crime now, I'm just asking why they didn't use it.
Caller, what is wrong with you? Honestly, what is wrong with you? I'll keep you on the line, you know. Honestly, I want to find out what exactly is wrong with you. What is wrong?
I'm just making my suggestion.
But caller, you have a problem because you're not providing any kind of solution. If the opposition, and they're in opposition, and you are happy they're in opposition, I am also happy that they are in opposition. I also said, listen, caller, écoutez-moi. After the election on NewsSpin, I said, and I've been saying this for years now, the people did the right thing. Never second guess the people of St. Lucia. When they vote for a government, they know why they have elected this government and why they rejected the previous government. We have a new government in office, and you are preoccupied with the previous administration, caller.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I agree with that.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I agree with that. But
Okay, so what do you have to say to the person who is in... No, hold on. What do you have to say to the person...
Let me ask you a question.
What do you have to say to the person who is in charge right now? What do you have to say to him?
But the man already spoken. He said.
What do you have to say? Because today is a new day. Jeudi a c'est un jour neuf.
The man already.
No. Forget what he said before. Let's focus on what you are saying to him today. What are you saying to the Prime Minister, National Security Minister, Police Commissioner today? What are you saying?
Let me tell you that.
Don't tell me. When it
comes to crime.
Don't tell me. I want you to speak to the Prime Minister of the country right now.
I cannot tell the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister already.
You don't want to. You don't want to.
But he already.
But when he spoke, when the Prime Minister spoke, sir, we did not have that homicide yesterday in Bar Saint Joseph, you know.
But let me tell you that the Prime Minister said that.
Let me tell you, I am not interested. Don't report what the Prime Minister said. I know what he said. Okay? Listen, caller. I want you. Listen to me, caller. Listen to me, caller. I want you to speak to the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I'll speak to him.
Tell him now. No, say what you say now. Speak to the Prime Minister.
Not now.
Why not now?
I'll speak to him.
When you do it?
I'll give him some advice. Don't worry.
When you do it?
But Tim,
wait.
let me tell you that.
Anyway, don't tell me anything. I don't hear you. Thank you so much. I don't hear you. Thank you so much. I'm asking you to speak to the Prime Minister and to speak to me. I'm just a priest, you know. The Prime Minister is the Pope. So speak to the Prime Minister directly. I've given you the opportunity to speak directly to the Prime Minister. Say to the Prime Minister what you expect of him. Don't want to speak to me about the crime problem in this country. Don't want to make excuses about this problem that we are facing right now. And I'm not saying that the Prime Minister has all the answers, although that's the impression that we got, because he said he was the most readied individual. The clips, the tapes are there. I am saying, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years, as far as this issue is concerned, at least the Prime Minister should give a semblance of indication, that he knows how to lead. Give the impression that he knows how to lead. And behind every good leader, people definitely will follow and people will assist the Prime Minister. It cannot be a situation where the Prime Minister is directly calling on the people to provide him with solutions, as opposed to saying, and I've been saying this for a while, I will lead and I want you, the people of this country, to follow me in this fight against crime. Those are the things that I'm going to do. Those are the various measures I want to put into effect. We have been giving police officers bicycles, tricycles, motorcycles, vehicles, etc. for a very long time now. And we are not seeing the results of that kind of investment. We need to do something that's totally different. I cannot understand now, considering what is happening on the ground in this country, that anyone will call and make excuses for our leaders. We have a call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Hi, Tim.
Yes, Rick. Good afternoon to you.
Tim, one of the most commonplace problems we have in this country, and perhaps one of the least publicized, I don't know if you agree with me, concerns bad diagnosing, misdiagnosing people, or people dying unnecessarily or out of incompetence at our hospitals. That is it's a commonplace complaint. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm very much aware of it.
But a very silent complaint. And you know why it's so silent, Tim? I will tell you in the interest of time. Number one, it's money for the people.
Yeah.
Who okay, that's number one. There is no legal aid for them, number two. And no doctor is going to stand up with the patient. I don't know if it has ever happened, because of course everything is secret here.
Well, only when it is very glaring that a lawyer or doctor would come forward and, want to address that particular issue. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example. Remember the incident where this elderly lady, the doctor unfortunately amputated her good leg?
That's recent.
Yes. And then, obviously you had to amputate the bad leg and leave her without any legs. So in this particular case, I think attorneys came forward and assisted.
Was there a court case, Tim?
I think there was some kind of arrangement, There was a arrangement.
Well, Tim, I know I want to be very, very careful how I put my questions to you, so that, let me say very quickly, Socrates you've heard of, and there's also the Socratic way of learning, teaching. You ask the questions, people come up with the answers, and when a person comes up with the answer himself or herself, it's almost certain they'll never forget it, as opposed to you telling them the answer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the Socratic, I'm very much into that. Can you say whether or not that amputation was a court matter?
I'm not aware that it was a court matter.
As far as I know, it was not a court matter, but it was a quiet arrangement.
Yeah.
Let's do it quickly. A lot of that happens. The mediation is another one that is a little more official. It is an arrangement situation too, the mediation, where we agree let's not go and argue in court, because I might not want things to come out. But that's not my issue. Tim, the people. Put it this way: if we want to really see a problem go away, we cannot deliberately misdiagnose it over and over and over until we end up believing the cause of the problem is this and that when we know it's not. And we've convinced most of the nation of a false reason for this thing going on. Is that too complicated? Do you understand?
No, it is very simple.
Okay, good. Kenny Anthony, and I keep repeating it because I notice everybody's ignoring it. Kenny Anthony, whether you believe Kenny Anthony is a credible person or not, is irrelevant. Kenny Anthony put together what the country evidently accepted as a credible team of investigators to look into what the Americans called gross violations of human rights. You and I know that the police were suspected of murdering people.
Yeah.
That report came out and talked about guns being planted. It even cost us a pretty beloved police commissioner. Am I right?
Yeah, Mr. Vernon Francois.
No matter what political fence you stand on, these are facts, verifiable facts. And Kenny Anthony read this report to the world. And Kenny Anthony said, well, in effect, when you hear that unnamed police officers were planting guns at crime scenes, what does that put in your mind in terms of trust for our police force?
It certainly does indicate that, the police should not be trusted. Yeah, they're not trustworthy. Yeah.
I'm faster than you.
Yeah.
It indicates our police force cannot be trusted. that our police force is complicit in murder, at the very, very least. Now, what is horrible about that is that it paints the whole police force, and that's totally unfair. So to get that matter sorted out, there should have been a proper resolution to it.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, that particular matter is pending. Okay, it's pending. And the society, the yellow and red, does not seem to give a demonstrable damn. Yellow and red don't care. Am I right in that?
You're correct.
But what yellow and red seem not to realize is that we have just described a breakdown of our justice system, a burning of our Constitution. That's what we've just done by this complicity, accepting that situation. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct again.
Correct or in. So we are, in fact, living in the bush, like animals.
So why do you think government after government, they have not been able to solve that impact dilemma?
Well, you know, you use some very St. Lucian words on me in context, so I will try to answer it. That they have not been able. St. Lucian English is very what's the word I want to very, oh gosh, the word is slipping me. Kind, you know, very, very kind. So what you're saying to me there, you know, they've tried hard, you know, but they're not able. That's what not being able means. They have deliberately not done it, Tim, and here's the reason why. And that must be seen to be at the root of all criminality, all corruption, everything that is wrong in our society, what I'm about to say. Because that same report, Kenny Anthony, not Kenny Anthony's words, but the words of trusted foreign detectives paid by the taxpayer. And they told us that the facilitators, you know what facilitator means? They are the people who allowed it to happen, who make things happen. The people who make things happen are the facilitators. If there were no facilitators, chances are it wouldn't happen. You know the Creole thing?
City West.
So say the whole thing for me, man.
City West, Pani Vole.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have a report comes out, the day's Prime Minister reads it out to the whole world via the internet. It is repeated. It's on tapes everywhere. But the media has no use for it. The talk show hosts have no use for it. The lawyers have no use for it. Nobody gives a damn about it. Yet what it says is our police force generally cannot be trusted. That's what it says, because they tend to plant guns at crime scenes and all kinds of stuff. Plant guns, plant shells, all that kind of stuff. That is what the report said. But for me, the most important thing there was that crime in this country is facilitated by members of parliament, government ministers, it said, politicians, certain businessmen, and police officers. Now you're going to ask me about able or unwilling. Why should the facilitators of crime be seen to be going out of their way to curb crime, when chances are the people who are actually committing the crime may talk? Hmm? Are you hearing me, good?
I'm listening. That's a possibility, Rick.
You see, it's not just a possibility, it's a great likelihood that we cannot afford. Because what other answer can we have? The DPP is mute. No matter what you say about the DPP, he remains in his hole like a worm and doesn't poke his head out, let people talk pardon my friend, let them talk their shit. I'm still getting my major salary. I'm still getting my perks, and I go home and I sleep well. And maybe my contract will even get renewed again. Are you with me, Tim?
Mm-hmm.
So you can talk all the nasty talk, all the critical talk against the DPP. He doesn't give a damn because it does not affect him. For it to affect him, we must activate our courts, activate our constitution, activate the requirements of what is contracted to do, etc. If you do that, you might shake the wrong tree, Tim. So before we start talking about, and let me say this, Philip Pierre, I can see the chat room lighting up. Philip Pierre is no better or worse than any other politician who has been in charge of this country when it comes to talking and no action.
How do you make that? How do you make that assessment?
Great question. Under every prime minister, crime has been a major problem.
But I've never heard any prime minister say, I am the most prepared, I am the most readied individual. I've never heard that. That is unprecedented.
But I'll tell you one prime minister who said, without his name, St. Lucia is nothing. I can go on, you know.
And that was not true? That was not so true of John Compton? That was not true?
I'm glad you remember that. Of course it's not true. As a matter of fact, when John Compton was saying that, he was being criticized for some egregious actions. But I don't want to make John Compton the issue. What I'm trying to tell you is all the politicians from Trump down, intelligent people know what to stand up against, what to tell, and you're talking crap, what to ask the proper question. We have a media that does not know such a thing as a supplementary question. We have a lot of problems linked together, Tim. That's why we ain't going nowhere. And if we behave like the doctors and only look at the toenail that is swollen and don't look at the rest of the body, checking the heart and so on, we're going nowhere. I mean, I could sit there and just talk a lot of anti-Labour Party crap. And if I am successful, we might even have a change of government. And we have a change of government, then what? We have to have a change of attitude in this country. We have to begin to examine each problem as it arises, Tim. It is very important.
But it might have to take along the way a change of government every time the opportunity comes along, maybe every 5 years, for us to for us to maybe eventually stumble upon a group of people who can provide the solution to the problem.
You into Obia?
No, I'm not Obia. I'm just saying,
wait for me.
At least somewhere along the line, because that is the mechanism that is at our disposal under the Westminster system, Rick.
I have another answer. It's a small town. We all know at the very least the reputations of the candidates who go up. Kenny Anthony in 2011, when he came back into office, one of the first speeches he gave, he said St. Lucians must become more discriminating in a choice of MPs who they put in Parliament. Kenny Anthony said that. But of course, the same Kenny Anthony did not say that the people can only vote for the candidates he puts up. So if he doesn't put up a crook in a constituency, if he doesn't put up a reputational rapist in the country, if he doesn't put up in the constituency, people can't vote for that. If he makes a point of having people of good repute, good track record, as good as you can get, that is who the people will vote for, Tim.
So why depend on Dr. Kenny Anthony or Philip J. Pierre or Alan Chasney to determine who contests elections in St. Lucia? Why not change the mindset? No? Why not change the mindset? Since you say in a small town, we definitely have a small pool of people from which we can choose the better individuals to run our affairs.
On the head, Socratic thinking again. Why depend on Kenny Anthony? Totally agree. We should not. In fact, we should check the Kenny Anthonys and the Pips and the Chasneys before they even start to talk. That is the point. We don't have to wait for after elections. Right there, the slate of candidates comes up. We begin to come up with sensible, persistent questions, and not by the average Joe. We need some 4 or 5 people with some kind of, recognized status. I'm using my words carefully. To ask publicly about certain allegations regarding certain candidates, and have those candidates present themselves as in other places publicly to be questioned by those questioning citizens. So we don't have to wait no 5 years. We should not be waiting for the Kenny Anthonys, the John Comptons, the Philip Pierres, and the one to bring up candidates. We know the candidates. And if we don't, then we should be inquiring so that we do know about the candidates. What police record they have? What suspicions are there of them? What report has them mentioned in there? What do we know about them? Have they ever been to court for what? What was the result of the court case? That kind of stuff. Kenny Anthony recommended that, Tim. I don't even want to claim credit. Kenny Anthony recommended that in 2011. So we don't have to wait 5 years. We don't. Because I heard somebody a while ago recommending coups. I'm not in that coup business of saying the people, an abuse phrase. A group of army people get together and they decide on a coup and they have a coup. And if the people don't follow, they get dead. So I'm not into coup. We have a system. And another thing that we have to look at are all those checks and balances that must go with the Constitution. We don't have any checks and balances. The poor man cannot afford a lawyer. He cannot afford a lawyer, let alone to want to bring his case to a higher court. He can't. That's a fact. There is no justice for people of a certain wage bracket. There's no justice. They cannot afford it. The Constitution amounts to a nothing piece of paper if you don't have the wherewithal to demand your rights according to that Constitution. So we can't talk about I have rights or we have sovereignty. We don't have it unless we can demand it and defend it. So by all means, we have a horrible situation, not only with crime, with a lot of things.
All right, Rick.
But
thank you so much, sir. Our question of the day: why should a trip to the U.S. prompt so much interest? Why should a trip to the U.S. prompt so much interest? And to be blunt, of course, talking about MP for Castries Central Housing Minister Richard Frederick left the island yesterday for the United States. We don't know whether it's personal business or official business, but I'm sure that you will be harked back to 2011 when he lost his personal visa as well as diplomatic visa. So the question will be, what has transpired? And, it started from allegations and accusations and suspicions. And former St. Lucia Foreign Minister Rufus Bosque made reference to this in a 2011 interview with DBS television. That's some 12 years ago.
At this point in time, we really don't know who we're dealing with. We don't know what that person is supposedly guilty of. I have my suspicions. I believe, based on a meeting that I had with the embassy officials prior to anybody's visa being revoked, there seemed to be a tremendous amount of interest in extrajudicial killings. And I suspect that somehow or the other persons have gone to the United States Embassy and have put things in the minds of officials in the United States Embassy with respect to what has been going on in St. Lucia. I think this message was communicated to the United States Embassy, and I think as a result of that, they tied in certain police officers, they tied in certain politicians, and I suspect that is why it's being done. That is my view. But it's only my opinion. I have absolutely no evidence other than the fact that the Americans expressed a tremendous amount of interest in that particular area and wanted to get information on why the police were killing these people, why they were not given due process, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I wasn't there, but certainly these are matters that need to be looked into, and the United States should express that to us if that is in fact the case.
More on this in just a moment as you continue to watch NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as on YouTube and listen on Power 97.9 FM.
Lazarus's funeral home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From my account to streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Why pay full price for your mobile when you can pay half? Just bundle your home internet and mobile services with Flow and save 50% on your mobile bill. That's money in your pocket every month. Plus, now you get free YouTube and WhatsApp data. And you can share your plan with up to 3 other numbers. Upgrade now and get a free smartphone. Switch and keep your number. Learn more at discoverflow.co.
Get ready for the second annual Zouk a Blanc, presented to you by Project Chocolat, Saturday 30th September from 7 p.m. featuring St. Lucia's #1 band, DYP. The always exciting Ezra, the Fun Machine, and our finest DJ, Hollywood HP, and DJ Shocking. Savor an evening of elegance, souk, and old school rhythms in the heart of Soufrière at Project Chocolat. Secure your tickets for just $80. Grab yours at any sell outlets island-wide or at Mambo's Bar in Soufrière. Tickets are also available online. Zouk a Blanc, a touch of white, where island vibes and cuisine meets pure sophistication.
Admission $100 at the door.
French Connection, your power weekend party. Mixing, remixing, and refixing with the baddest DJs from the French Caribbean.
Any man where you snap, make sure you're something when you're out and you can't snap. Tony, I'm not fool, when you're still when not. Jamais you watch over us as I smoke up and drink up. We going to party tonight, yeah. We going to party tonight, yeah.
French Connection on Power 97.9 FM. French Connection, weekends from 6 p.m. on Power 97.9.
Automotive art is a place to start. Automotive art is a place to start.
Yeah, look, check. We got a wide range of products that are automotive and do-it-yourself supplies if you got a moment. Smart staff that'll always know it. Got rims and tires from trucks to high performance to off-roading. Start hair tools, batteries, oil, and car care.
Automotive art is a place to start.
If you had a movie that's a film and the main protagonist would be a guy called Richard Frederick, that would be a great or amazing, sensational, captivating movie. Action from start to finish. And at this particular juncture, we have not reached the point where we consider to be the denouement as far as the plot is concerned. And so in 2011, There's this talk of Richard Frederick having lost his visa, his personal visa, as well as his diplomatic visa. And the St. Lucia Labour Party, then in opposition, operatives, supporters, they were shouting to high heaven for his resignation or dismissal from the Stevenson King-led administration. Eventually, either he was forced to resign, or he was asked to resign, or he resigned on his own volition. But Mr. Richard Frederick resigned from the cabinet of ministers. But those who were leading the charge against him, the leader of the opposition then, Dr. Kenny Anthony, and other officials of the SLP, and also you'd have heard from the then press secretary to Dr. Anthony, Jadia Jean-Pierre. Let's listen to her.
The St. Lucia Labour Party believes that this is a matter of national concern, and in no way should its implications be trivialized as implied in statements made yesterday by the Honorable Prime Minister and other cabinet ministers, including Foreign Affairs Minister Rufus Buski and the government's chief legal officer, Attorney General Rudolph Doddy Francis. Whereas it may be true that personal visas may be frequently revoked by the U.S., this is certainly not true in the case of diplomatic visas held by respectable ministers of government.
Jadia Jean-Pierre of the St. Lucia Labour Party, then opposition St. Lucia Labour Party. She has gone on now to be an attorney. She's practicing law. But this was an exciting moment in St. Lucia, particularly for the opposition and also for the government of Stevenson King. This must have been very depressing. That is why it is so strange now that you hear people calling certain talk shows and making reference to the banter, who Jah bless, no man curse, and praising Richard Frederick because he's traveled to the United States. I think he did so last year as well, attending the UN General Assembly. This time around, I really don't know what is the nature of his trip. But the fact that he's traveling to the United States, I am sure that many people will be curious. They'll be asking questions, whether his visa has been renewed or not. And he called his broadcast, his program last evening, Can I Help You? And the host of the program, Shelton Daniel, did pose a question to him on his visa.
Are you able to tell us, because I have declared on the program that your U.S. visa has been restored to you?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
With longevity, but we'll talk about that.
Are you able to tell us, because I have declared on the program that your U.S. visa has been restored to you?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
With longevity, but we'll talk about that.
Richard Frederick speaking on his program, Can I Help You, last evening from New York, speaking to the one who was substituting for him, and that is Shelton Daniel. So we also got a clip of Richard Frederick actually being in the United States, and one individual, I'm assuming is a St. Lucia national, cannot contain himself. You know, just meeting Richard, I imagine, for quite some time now, since the revocation of his U.S. visa.
Let the eye behold what the mind refuses to accept. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm fainting. On the river. On the river. What's up, man? Yeah, man. Yeah, we saw you. On the river. Oh my God. Boy, tonight. Oh my God. I yearn for this moment. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh God. Let's go to eat. And then we'll do it live. Yes. That's right.
Old friends meeting and rubbing shoulders. Let's open the lines right now. Take your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Kimani, what is in the chat room?
Someone says the whole judicial system needs to be reconstructed. Another comment, lack of critical independent thinking is what is causing our present situation. Tim, unless the hacks are willing to criticize their political leaders, we wouldn't see any improvements in managerial positions. Another comment, no politician can stop crime. However, laws could be put in place to help curb crime. However, parents have the power in their hands to make children into law-abiding citizens. However, someone may argue that there is peer pressure, which is true, but we need to fight crime in a collaborative approach. Come together as a nation and stop the red. Another comment, why should the police officers put their life at risk to be on the streets at 2 a.m.? Tim, can you take the cows? You can take the cows to the river, but you can't force them to drink. Tim, St. Lucia is backwards. I can shake my head when I hear. I just can't shake my head when I hear something. Tim, a child finishes secondary school, passes CXC exams. Now she wants to do a nursing course, but she was told she must be 18 years to do that. Is not St. Lucia behind God's back? Another comment, Tim, there's a video about the prisoner giving prisoners medication. What's going on at the prison? Can you imagine what would have happened to St. Lucia if Pierre was the one in charge when we had a real pandemic, COVID? A nation will be judged by the way they treat their children, and that's a fact.
We have a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, good afternoon to you, caller.
Tim, I work in... can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you.
Right. I work in one of the Caribbean islands, very close to St. Lucia, and you recall a couple weeks ago, there was a killing. I think 4 or 5 people died, or 3 or 4. And then the Prime Minister came... Yes, right.
In St. Vincent, yeah.
And yes, and then Ralph came... he was away, and he came, he gave a speech and tried to restore some confidence. What is going on in Philip JP? I get the feeling that if Philip JP and the SLP might soon start saying, is the UWP paying people to kill people?
Well, some people have been asking the question. You know, I think a few months ago, somebody did call a talk show to ask the question whether this whole thing is not being perpetuated by the United Workers' Party to make the government look bad.
I mean, this is crazy. I mean, as a young person, SLP came into power. Everybody is looking forward to some sort of these brilliant minds sitting around the table will do something. Nobody's saying nothing. The man is trying to. The man is not trying to allay the fears of anybody. The man is just coming into Parliament talking about long and short. I mean, let's be honest. I preferred. I've never voted. Every time I call NewsSpin, I say that I've never voted in my life, but when UWP was in power, there was a lot of crime. I looked forward to SLP coming into power to do something, and these people, to me, the roads are in a bad condition, and what is upsetting is that the man is saying nothing. The man is not trying to make the people feel better. The man is not saying nothing about cameras. Man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Something needs to be done.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. We continue with your calls once again at 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Let me see if I have any of your WhatsApp messages. I think we have a call. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Timothy, a pleasant good afternoon to you and your listeners all over the world. TW on the line, Timothy.
Yes, go ahead, caller.
Timothy. You know, Timothy, crime is a serious business. And as you know, Timothy, in this country, that every week, Timothy, there's a homicide. Timothy, we are getting numb to these homicides if they continue, Timothy. And you know what hurts me about this entire situation, Timothy, every time I listen to Philip J. Pierre, you know, he's making a mockery out of this crime situation. You know, I listen to Philip J. Pierre, and it's like a check-a-pesh show that I'm watching. When I listen to the Prime Minister, you know, was asked the question about what he's going to do about crime. And he says that, you know, he doesn't know what he's going to do about it. If anybody out there have the ideas, you know, if anybody out there has the solutions, you know, bring it to him so he can, you know, so he can look at it. That's what he said, Timothy. What I'm saying to the Prime Minister is, I mean, you have the Ministry of Security. You have the technocrats. You understand? You have all the people that you have employed, Timothy. The police. You have a crime symposium. And nothing has come out of that, Timothy. You know, it's the same way the Prime Minister goes on, and when we spoke to him about the Millennium Highway, he said there's nothing he can do about the contractor because it was the last government that gave the contractor the contract for the Millennium Highway. Every time you hear Philip J. Pierre speak, Timothy, it's like Check Kapesh, like Cox, and Algacia. You know, it's like he doesn't know nothing about nothing. He knows nothing about Breinberg. He knows nothing about how important the Ministry of Tourism. You understand? Timothy, we need a leader. Philip J. Pierre is not a leader. I saw it when he was elected, and I'm seeing it in him right now, Timothy. We must get rid of the security, the Minister of Security, and to get this country on the right footing for all solutions to live in peace and unity and to live in a peaceful country where there's very little crime that happens in the country. Timothy, I thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let's see if we have another call, this time via WhatsApp. As we continue, 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, and that is 716-2026. In just a moment, Kimani will be going through some of your comments in the chat room, and then also be going through some of your WhatsApp comments as well. All right, Kimani, do you have any comments to go through right now?
The Minister for Crime Fighting is unfit for the job. Only reason he is not giving it up is for the paycheck. The leaders are hell-bent to deprive us by all means. Another comment, PJP asking us for ideas why he enjoys the salary and perks that come with the title Prime Minister. Tim, don't cry for St. Lucians. Call elections now and you'll be surprised at the results. Someone says, ORC stopped the homicides until the SLP made it political and ran to the US. God is not asleep. Someone says, first order of the day. Tim, I would like to know why there are so many hacks who dislike you but have top fan badges. And they're so hot, they're actually accepting it. Someone says it'll take more than prayers to fix what's going on in the country. Another comment, Tim, Invader will have to sing a new song.
We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Poleon.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Okay. I'm going to speak. Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, caller. Don't listen to whatever device you're using, all right, right now. That's on. Just turn on the volume. Don't listen to it. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. That is the first time I'm calling your program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, I just enjoy your program. But it's not everything, I just agree with,
because what I realized, like you put in too much pressure on the Prime Minister, I find. Because, because to me,
Okay,
it's not anything much.
what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? If not
Well,
apply the
try,
pressure,
I mean,
what to do?
Yeah, but I'm not saying some of the things you are saying is not true, but when you really look at it, it's not nothing much the Prime Minister can do apart from what he's doing now, because it's not he that's sending the people to do what they're doing. I mean,
We never said that.
Any other.
We never said that,
Yeah, but the way you are talking.
If you have your children, if you have your children and they're misbehaving, right? You're not sending them, but people are saying to you, sir, you have your child who is 10, 11. Control your child. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, but that is exactly what the parents are supposed to do, because a lot of young people are making children now, and they are not doing a good job at all.
Right. So
you understand, and that is why we having the problem we having there with all the crime we have.
that's
there
not.
now.
So then now, what should our government do if the children are behaving in an unruly manner with illegal arms, illegal firearms and ammunition? What should we do?
But I find he's still trying his best. He just had the RSS.
His best is not enough. You could try your best, and your best sometimes is not enough. Your best must be to the satisfaction of the people of this country.
So you're saying that he's not doing enough?
But caller, you don't get my point there. People are dying nearly every other day in this country,
I believe any government that is in power will not be able to stop what is going on.
It's not
now.
stop, sir. Caller, it's not stop. We cannot stop crime, but we can control it, bring it down some level of control. Criminals are having their way at the expense of law-abiding citizens, caller. Criminals are having their way at the expense of law-abiding citizens.
Well, I understand you to a certain point, but I will not put the kind of pressure you put in on Philip JP there. To me, as if I don't think you are being fair. You're not being fair.
I am being fair. You know why? Because he is the Prime Minister. He campaigned for the job. He begged for the job. He said he was the most readied for the job. And therefore, we have to hold him to a high standard for the job.
Yeah, but if you have to, but I'm not hearing you holding Chasney.
But Chasney is not Prime Minister, caller. You're losing that argument, Chasney is not the Prime Minister. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. He's no longer the Prime Minister of the. No, but caller. But he's no longer. But he's no longer the. All right, listen.
I'm listening.
We have Mr. Ronald Phillip, who is the current acting police commissioner, right? Yeah. You want me to talk about Vernon Francois when he was police commissioner? What do you want me to talk about?
Okay.
Do you want me to talk about Vernon Francois or Mr. Severin Moncherry when he was police commissioner? Don't you want to talk about Ronald Phillip, who is the acting police commissioner?
No, well, you can make reference to them, but we have to really focus on the one that is there now.
Exactly, caller. Exactly.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, but just I believe to be honest with you, I just listen to you every day. I never call, but today I just decide to call because to me I don't know, but any other person that is fair would say that you are not being fair to the Prime Minister. I feel I don't know if it's because he said well about the short and the tall. To me, if I was in your place, to me, I would not, make a big fuss with that like that. Like, I don't think he really means anything.
You see, you keep making excuses. You don't think he believe. You don't think he mean it. You need. Listen, caller. I don't take those things personal.
Okay, all right. Anyway. Okay.
Boy, caller, you good,
All right,
have a good weekend.
Yeah.
You tried, but hour. Keep on any final comments or contributions in the chat room?
No comments in the chat room, but I will say, why is it that people are telling you to not take what PJP says serious?
And maybe
why is it that you're supposed to be the bigger person?
Maybe for them it's laughable, so I don't know. But I don't lose sleep over things of that nature, because anytime you are personal, we should not be having a discussion anymore. Let's talk about the real issues. And then you go on the platform and you say, let's talk about issues. And they like to talk about side matters and things of that nature. And so that's just being hypocritical. I think what's happening right now in this country in terms of the high unemployment, in terms of the high cost of living and the crime, those things are more important than even personal attacks. It really is of little consequence or significance to me as an individual. But I think when the possibility does exist that this weekend, for example, we could record 3 homicides, what is more important than that? And if the Prime Minister and other people in the government and their supporters, they're using those things as a distraction, I cannot allow them for that to work on me as an individual. I'll be narcissistic if I'm thinking about the Prime Minister talking about short and tall all the time. There are more important issues that we should be focusing on. I think somebody's calling in. Let's see if they have let's take a final call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Well, at last, yeah.
Mr. Pineapple Man, good afternoon.
Yeah, well, let me give my take on crime.
Mm-hmm.
In your preamble earlier on, you talk about Singapore, right? Now, supposing they were to apply the laws of Singapore in St. Lucia, what do you think would have happened?
Well, there'll be an uprising. The government will become very unpopular.
Exactly. That means any government. That means governments will not even make their full term, right? And that is our problem. Okay, because you'll get heavy criticism here and there. It's true. It will bring down the crime. Okay, and the problem is that we are puppets. We have been controlled. We have to beg here and beg there, right, to those bigger countries. And in Singapore, that's not happening. Because I can remember one time, I believe that's in Singapore, some American got a flogging, of course,
Yeah.
I think for stealing, right, from vehicle theft, right?
No. I think something to do with, something to do with chewing gum.
Chewing gum to be just home.
Yes, chewing gum. Chewing gum. Yeah.
And then, I think the president at that time was Bush, and he complained, and then they tell him, come and get his too. I'm not sure if it's Bush or Clinton that was presidency at that time. And they told one of them to come and get their share of flogging. So which means these big countries cannot do what they want with Singapore. And Singapore has natural resources, right? So we also cannot do what is happening in Africa now, of course. Because, because we don't have natural resources. So we have to keep begging and begging. So with that crime situation...
Well, for Singapore, it's not even about natural resources. It's certain industries that they have. They're very innovative.
They are productive. They can take care of themselves. But we here, we have to beg. And I've been giving ideas over the years and years and years about this agriculture thing. But so much can be gained from agriculture. Nobody's taking it. They rather go and beg. So right now, these countries are saying, well, you have harsh laws. You are killing your people and this and that. You are hurting your people. So we're not giving you our money, and that is the repercussions from when we go and beg these big countries. So with that crime situation, we are caught between a rock and a hard place.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much. Finally, on NewsSpin News of the Day, Macron slams 2-term limit on French presidency as damnable BS. Macron slams a 2-term limit on French presidency as damnable BS. our NewsSpin news of the day, and that's the broadcast for this week. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have yourself an enjoyable and safe weekend, and God willing, we'll be back on Monday, same time, 12:30, with another edition of NewsSpin. Goodbye.